Hey everybody, today I want to talk about a concept called upper limits. I found this concept in a book written by Gay Hendricks called The Great Leap, or The Big Leap it's called. I'll put a link below. I get it in Audible books and then I listen to it. When I found this book, it really enlightened me to a lot of things, in the fact that I had been running my upper limit scripts for many years, and when it was presented to me in this way, I then became aware of it. I went, wow, this is really powerful. So here it goes. And what I find also too, that when people come into my space, from a coaching perspective, I get everybody to hop on this and listen to it, and then they feed that back to me, and then we then work out what these upper limits are. So our upper limits are basically they're really part of our safety mechanism in a sense. So we have obviously our comfort zone, and anything outside of our comfort zone is the space of the unknown. We naturally fear the unknown because we have a mind that's a threat-based mind, and it looks at the unknown as a threat. So whenever we experience the unknown, we then automatically throw out a series of dialogues, narratives, and potential behaviours, thoughts, feelings and emotions that then bring us back into our comfort zone to ultimately keep us safe. Now, in ultimately keeping us safe, we then start to live in a pattern of existence rather than a pattern of living life, because we know growth and challenge and experience and achievement and adventure all live outside of our comfort zone. So if you want to live a life of based on your values, a life that's full of achievement and growth, then you need to be outside your comfort zone. If you stay inside your comfort zone, then you just really create a pattern of existence. And this is where our upper limits come into it. Now, what the book is saying is that basically we have a dissatisfied mind. Totally on with that one. Dissatisfied mind is that it's just about looking for the things that we don't have rather than things that we do have. Now that makes sense, because we can look at fear as a motivator to achieve more. I know that sounds a little skew-if, but let's pull that one apart too. So if I have a fear that I don't have enough food, it motivates me to go out and get more. All right? If I fear that I don't have enough money to support my family, I'll go out and get a job. So fear can be a great motivator in that respect there too. However, if we allow fear to dictate and drive all of our decisions, it will, in a sense, pretty much keep us safe most of the time. So we have a dissatisfied mind. When things are going well, we then look for reasons why things aren't going to go well. So here's a bit of a script. It's too good to be true. Things won't last this way. I need to put money away for a rainy day. I need to keep an emergency fund. Things are going well at the moment, but they won't continue to be this way. Really interesting conversation this morning. We're saving a bit of money at the moment, but it won't always be that way. So just be aware of mindset and the dialogue that sits around that. Okay, we also run a script that basically goes like this. I don't believe I deserve success in a particular part of my life. And this is a safety mechanism, okay? So we've been given these scripts, we take on these scripts at a young age. They've been programmed into us by peers, by colleagues, by significant ones, by media as well, that we deserve that we can only go to a certain area within our lives. We can only achieve a certain amount of things. And as long as we run these scripts, I believe that I don't deserve success in a relationship, an intimate relationship, success in money, success in career, success in intelligence, success in being connected to others, success in being connected to myself, success in spirituality, whatever it is, we run these scripts. Now, when we run these scripts, ultimately we have 4 scripts that we then run that keep us in there. So one is that I'm ultimately flawed. So I'm broken, I'm splintered, I can never be repaired. Something's happened to me in my life and I'm just broken and shattered. I'm damaged goods, I've got too much baggage. So, and it comes down to I'm not enough. All right. Another one is called I'm a burden. So I'm a burden to others. You will see this with children that come from broken families. Even the word broken family, see, that suggests that I'm not enough. I'm ultimately flawed because I come from a broken family. But if we've got like separation within parents and the child then has to go with one parent or the other, or is a bit of shared custody, there's a potential that the child then feels as they're a burden to particular parents. Or if the child has to then be looked after by the grandparent, I'm a burden to the grandparent. You might have learning difficulties. You might have had a situation that's happened in your life, whether that be trauma or non-trauma based, but then we can run this script that I am a burden to these people, I'm a burden to society. Imagine if you're addicted to a drug. Society doesn't look at drug addiction with really open arms and great acceptance. It's getting that way, but I'm a burden to society. If I have a mental health disorder, I'm a burden to other people. I'm a burden to society as well. So I'm a burden is a really big one. I even get that when I run with my good mate who runs quicker than me, and he's running with me, and I know that he can run a lot faster than me, and I say, mate, just go ahead and get a good run in yourself, because I'm a burden to him. But he chooses to stay with me, to then run with me, to increase my capacity, increase my fitness as well. So I'm a burden's a really interesting one. The next one is don't shine too bright. So don't shine too bright is a really, really interesting one, because that can come from a perspective of, I might be a bit smarter than my siblings, can you not do as well? Or, hey, let's not give this son too much praise because he's a lot smarter than this son, and by doing that, you're minimising that. Don't get too big for your boots, don't get too far ahead of yourself. Your head's too big, your shoulders are too big. What do you mean you're driving that type of car? That's a bit flash. Don't bring too much attention to yourself. Ultimately, you'll be brought down. Tall poppy syndrome. Don't shine too bright. Okay. The last one is loyalty to herd. So loyalty to herd's really, really significant. Now, the biggest herd that you'll have is your family. So your loyalty to herd, if you want to change but your family doesn't want to change, then your family will see that as a threat. You don't want to threaten your family or be perceived as a threat to your family, and so then you'll just stay with your family, or you stay with that belief system. I used to work for council, and I was part of a gardener for the council and part of the team. Ultimately, you would try to blame management, blame the organisation, try and pull the organisation down when you were part of the team. When a situation came up and the position on the management team came available, I didn't necessarily go for it, because I thought, hang on, if I go for this position, then I'm going to be in the position where my herd, the people that I'm associated to, the people that I'm connected with, will ultimately then try and bring me down, or talk ill of me, or blame me for a lot of stuff, because that's what I used to do as well. So loyalty to herd's a really, really significant one. Loyalty to family, loyalty to the group. When we look at, say, drug addiction, people going into rehabs, they'll come in there, they'll create a new herd within the rehab, but when they go back out into the community to their old herd hasn't changed, but they've changed. They have to then let go of that whole new network and create a whole new network, a whole new herd. Otherwise, that old herd will go, no, you're too much of a threat, you've got to come back in. And you're a threat in a way that if you're starting to change and your herd doesn't want to change, they either have to change to come with you, or they have to pull you back so you can then become part of it. So 4 scripts. I'm not enough, so basically ultimately flawed. I'm a burden, so I'm a burden to others. I'm weighing people down, I'm slowing people down, I'm damaged goods, it's too much for other people. And don't shine too bright. And then there is loyalty to herd. So they're the 4 scripts that we ultimately run around this belief system that I do not believe that I deserve success in this particular part of my life. Really, really significant. When you start to notice yourself doing that, then at least, so now you have the awareness, you can then start to notice yourself in the patterns that you create. And when you look back at those, you can go, wow, that's really interesting. I'm running that script. Now, the antidote to it is obviously the opposite. So thinking, well, I am actually worthy. I am someone of significance. I have some value to offer to this. I'm not a burden to people. I'm not a burden to myself. I can shine as bright as I want. I'm going to shine bright as a star. Right? And loyalty to herd, that's a tricky one, because that will then come down to your values and who you're then associating with, because there's a lot of discomfort when we leave our herd behind, but we need to then find out another herd that is more in line with our values at that particular time. So really significant insight, something that I found. It really blew my mind. It really opened my mind up to a lot of the scripts that I run. I use it within my coaching every time that I'm working with people. I'm watching, I'm listening to the narrative, and then also associating it back to those 4 things. There's a lot more within the book. It talks about the way that we actually self-sabotage, but yeah, it's a great book. It's a good read. A lot of Americanized executive coaching bullshit that comes with it, but the message underlying it is perfect, absolutely perfect. So I hope you got something out of that today. I believe we all run these scripts. We might run 2, maybe 3 or even 4 of those scripts in particular parts of our lives too. So just to be good to be aware of, and then you can then start to shift them and change them and expand and live that life that you really want to live, rather than stay in that existence, staying in your comfort zone. Okay, cool. Hope you got something out of that. I will look forward to sharing some other stuff later on. Thanks guys. Bye bye.